Hey everyone, welcome to Summit Point for Race 3. In the last race we had our best showing of the season so far, starting in third and holding station with the leaders for a good portion of the race. The result was a little disappointing, coming home in fifth, but our performance during the race was very encouraging and we're carrying that momentum into this one. Looking at the grid, our starting position reflects the somewhat disappointing result from last race. Burton is supposed to be starting next to us, but he's had some mechanical problems on the warm-up lap and he's waving us past, so through a bit of luck we'll be starting right behind the top four. Our plan is pretty much as always to get a decent start and try and mix it up with them. At the very least, we want to prove that the last race wasn't a fluke and that we genuinely have the pace to fight and to run with the front runners. So let's jump to the start and see how we go. Coming under the bridge, you can see the safety car pulling off the track. Try to tuck our nose under the gearbox of the car in front and keep our eyes on the green flag. Wait for it. There's the green. First shift and we completely botch it. That's the worst thing. We got a good jump, but that shift is going to kill us going into turn one. As you can see, everyone flooding past us. There's Bob Reed in that citation coming past. Get a good lunge on the braking zone. We passed two of those cars back. We've got Scott Rubenzer still in front of us. As Mike Scanlon holds the inside line, we're going to be able to get around him. But now we have Scott Rubenzer in front of us in between us and the cars that we want to be right behind. So it's going to be really important to get past him as quickly as possible. Otherwise those front four are just going to start marching away and it's going to be even harder for us to catch up. Going into turn 5, almost flat out. We take it nice and easy. We take a look into turn 5, but think better of it. We were nowhere near close enough to make a move. You can already see a bit of a gap opening up. Get a really good run through the final S's. Take a look to the inside for the final corner. It's going to be a really sketchy place to pass, and if we go too slow through the last turn, I forget which number it is, he's just going to pass us on the front straightaway. So we tuck in behind him, and we see if we can use the draft on this long front straightaway and take him into turn 1. Looks like the momentum is going our way. Pull out the pass, and looks like we're going to get him under braking. We can see already just one lap, and the front four have already pulled away a little bit. See if we can finish off this pass. As you can see Scott in the mirror behind me. And now we just have to keep our eyes forward and try to close this gap. Hopefully these cars fighting amongst themselves is going to slow them down enough that we can get up close to them. Still getting a big lift through the turn 4, I think it is. Down to first. So now that we've opened up a big gap behind us, there's clear track in the mirror, so we can just focus our eyes forward. You can see the cars in front battling. That's going to help us out. Just try to get smooth laps, smooth corners, hit our marks. See if we can close the gap. It looks like we gained a lot here, but I think it's just the accordion effect. That means, as the speed goes down, the time difference stays the same, but the speed is slower, so the distance is less, if that makes any sense. And speed, time, and distance are all related. If one gets smaller, then the others are going to adjust. But I think it does look like we've definitely gained some time on them. Things nice and smooth and steady. We might just be getting a little bit of a draft effect, but I think this far back it really won't be that much. Using first gear, which already shifting up into second. Yeah, first gear is definitely too low. Second gear I think is too high to use it in the corners where I would need it, which would be turns 1 and turn 5. So I'm kind of in an awkward spot where one gear is too low and the next gear is too high. In the first and the second, you can hear the huge jump as I go from first to second. And I have to, if I take first through turn 5, then I have to have that awkward upshift because then I'm just banging it off the rev limiter for a few seconds, which is not good for the engine, and it's not really good for lap time either. Puff of smoke as somebody drops the wheel going into the last corner. There's still plenty of race left, and these guys are battling really hard. But they are doing a really good job of staying out of each other's way. It's not easy to race this close and not have contact. Looks like we're gaining some and then losing some, and then gaining some back and then losing some back again, which is pretty encouraging because in the past these top 4 cars would have just checked out. So the fact that we're kind of holding our space with them is really encouraging. Just have to pick it up a little bit, see if we can close the gap even more. Looks like we've gained a little bit, but we're still a little ways back. Just trying to creep closer. It looks like we've really gained a lot of ground this lap. These guys are mixing it up every time going into turn 1, and that's only going to help us. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I think that was it. I think first gear just gave up. Just as we were closing in on them, we lost first gear. At least it sounds like it. I'm going to have to... In turn 1, I think I'm going to try and shift down into first just to see what happens. And I think that's going to slow us down enough that in turns 1 and turn 5, we're not going to be able to gain any more ground. But let's see what we can do for the rest of the race. It's certainly not hurting us here. Looks like I'm staying in second. You can see they pull away a little bit better out of 2 than when I was using first. Yeah, it's like, yeah, first gear's gone. Of course, the rest of the gearbox seems to be fine. Whenever gear explodes like that, you're worried about extra pieces getting caught in the teeth of the rest of the transmission. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like that's the case, at least not yet. But first gear is definitely gone, and that's going to hurt us a little bit. And it's just such an unfortunate timing because we were gaining really fast on that particular lap. I'm not really sure what was different, if they were going slower or if somehow I just found a little bit of extra speed. But right now we just want to get to the end of the race. And they're pulling away a little bit more. Second, a little bit of oversteer. Just trying to carry a little bit more speed in there so that second is more effective. I don't think it's really going to work out that well. Looks like we're gaining back a little bit, so this losing first gear isn't hurting us all that badly. Out of the slow corners, it's certainly not helping. But they're not really walking away from us as much as I thought they might be. oversteer again, trying to compensate. I think we're losing first gear. And that last lap was only a few hundredths slower than our best lap, so it's not really costing us too much time. I think at the time when I was in the car, I felt like that losing that first gear really cost me any chance at mixing it up with this front train, but after watching it back, I'm not so sure. I think I really could have had a bit more of a bit better chance than I thought I did at the time. Though I do think that in this particular section right here, shifting down to first and back to second, and down to first again, was a little bit quicker. Of course, it's still slower than having the right gears in the first place, but I think it was, with what we had at the time, it was better to be able to do that. Of course, the rest of the track, like this corner, we're not using first anyway, so it doesn't matter. Sticking my hands out to get some cool air through them. And our lap types are pretty consistent. We were about a tenth off of our best lap that time, or 2/10 or so. And so losing first gear really isn't hurting us that much. There's the white flag flying, so the final lap. I think we're too far back to make any sort of attempt at improving our position, but solid 5th place. And our buddy that we like to battle a lot with, Burton, dropped out on the warm-up lap, unfortunately, so the cars behind us are a lot slower than us, and the cars in front of us are increasingly less faster than us, if that makes any sense. They've definitely pulled away, and I think at the time, like I said, losing first gear in my head was sort of the end of my assault on the top 4, but after watching the video, I think I could have, if I kept pushing just a little bit harder, then I might have been able to stay with them a little bit better. I mean, nonetheless, we did a pretty good job of staying with them. I mean, if you look at races in the past, even this season, the top 4, the top several just walk away from us. So now is, we're coming up to the last corner of the race, and the top 4 are not only within sight, but they're, maybe only a couple seconds down the road. So that's a huge improvement. I think that this is could be a turning point race weekend in the season, even though it's coming towards the end of the season. If not, my career, I guess, maybe. As we cross the line in 5th place, we'll take a look at the formal results. Jonathan Kotick takes the win ahead of Jackson Lee and Josh Green. We come home in 5th, like I mentioned. And if you look down at the bottom, Burton Kyle August, DNS with those mechanical problems. Terrible luck for him, but great luck for us because he's right ahead of us in the championship. So we gained a clean 31 points on him. Looking at the championship table, it's Jonathan Kotick ahead of Josh Green. We're there in 7th place with 328 points, some 50 points or so behind Burton August. So we've got a little bit of ways to catch up to him. I think it's going to be really difficult. We've got 1 weekend left, so 3 races at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's going to be tough because, I think he and I are pretty well matched. I think if I'm having a good weekend, I might walk away from him a little bit. If he's having a good weekend, he might walk away from me. So it's kind of hit or miss whether we'll be able to close that gap to him. But I think the much closer target actually is Scott Rubenzer, who we can pretty reliably finish in front of. So who knows if we'll be able to make that. That's about 60-point gap. So we're definitely in the top 10 in this championship. Sneaking into the top 5 is going to be really difficult. But 6th place looks reachable. And with a little bit of luck, maybe 5th. So that's it for Summit Point. I think overall it was a really great weekend, even though the results weren't really there. I think the reason why we were in 5th or 6th place was because a lot of the other quick drivers were not there. Christian Waldas, Ryan Bierk wasn't there. Chris Ryan would definitely be in front of us. So, I think what's really encouraging is that when we were inside of the leaders, they did not drive away from us as fast as they have in the past. So looking at 5th, it's so-so, but looking at what happened on the racetrack is really encouraging. So hopefully we can continue that in New Jersey and finish out the season really strong. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon in New Jersey.